Dialogue with the other science, art, and expertise. It is the acceptance of the other, respect for their beliefs, and understanding their motivations. It is the study of their culture, their modes of thought, and the means to persuade them. It is not belittlement, slander, or sophistry, nor is it a battle with victors and vanquished, nor is it the mentality of whoever is not with us is against us. Dialogue with the other is founded on goodwill and tolerance. Did the Allah Almighty not say, Surah An-Nahl, verse 125, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good instruction, and argue with them in a way that is best. Indeed, your Lord is most knowing of who has strayed from his way, and he is most knowing of who is rightly guided. It pains me to admit that within our culture or educational foundations, we Arabs, there exists no answer to the question, how does one engage in dialogue with the other? When this other is subjected to toxic propaganda, malicious ideological rhetoric, and a culture of exposed racism, and when the subject is a dialogue about religious faith, it transforms into a central dilemma. Traditional culture, sterile education, and narrow-mindedness crumble before it. Screaming replaces logic, clamor supplants understanding, and both interlocutors remain entrenched, refusing to take a step toward one another out of stubbornness and insistence on obscurity. Thus, the purpose of dialogue is lost, if it ever existed in the first place. Professor Mansour Al-Hellu resolved to tread thorny terrain, step onto minefields, and engage the Western other in a dialogue about their religious faith. Not to declare, you are wrong and we are right, for he fully understands that error and truth are relative and only God Almighty is absolute, but to say, let us place your faith and mine on the table of dialogue with sincerity and objectivity, and let the faiths themselves speak. Let them articulate their tenets and the essence of their teachings. Our goal is not to convert Jews to Islam, nor Christians to monotheism, nor to make Muslims succumb to negative perceptions about their faith or the faith of others. The sole banner Professor Mansour Al-Hellu raised in his dialogue was, let the texts speak, then define your stance toward them, whatever that stance may be, proximity or distance, acceptance or rejection of your faith. But what are these texts we allow to speak? They are authentic religious texts, unaltered and unobscured. For religion belongs to God. The divine scriptures are his. Death is a truth. Resurrection is a truth. Paradise is a truth. Hellfire is a truth. And monotheism, reverence and honor for his books and all his messengers are truths. We do not differentiate between any of his messengers, and we submit to him. Professor Mansour Al-Hellu, may he be commended, sought to study the divine religions and those closely tied to their essence, then draw comparisons between them. He began his presentation with early religions among the ancient Egyptians, Indians, and Chinese, progressing to Judaism, Christianity, and finally Islam. He traced the common backbone of these faiths, the realization of humanity's purpose by defining human obligations. Professor Mansour Al-Hellu diligently presented the Western reader with irrefutable evidence of the Torah's distortions and the infiltration of the Trinity into Christianity by Jewish rabbis. He relied on their own books, studies, and the views of their enlightened scholars, free from agitation, clamor, or pulpit rhetoric. He also endeavored to refute the fabrications contrived by suspicious Orientalists against the Quran. He paused at length to address the West's claim, amplified by its media, that terrorism is Islamic. He demonstrated with decisive evidence that terrorism is a Western production, directed by Jewish rabbis, Christian zealots, and those coveting the Middle East's resources. This does not mean Islam has been spared the mischief of the ignorant, extremists, or opportunists. No. Islam has faced severe distortion at the hands of some of its own adherents. Professor Mansour Al-Hellu elaborated on the roots of this distortion, its overt and covert causes, hidden and apparent motives, and concluded that all divine religions, in their essence, advocate purity, nobility, and justice. They all aim to elevate God's vicegerent on earth, humanity regardless of time or place. Professor Mansour Al-Hellu insisted on delving into Islamic sects that have divided Muslims, Shia, Kharijitis, Sufis, and their offshoots, alongside the ideological debris labeled Baha'i and Qadiani, among others. The pressing question on every tongue became, where is Islam? The answer comes from the Quran in Surah Al-Hijr, verse 9. Indeed, it is we who sent down the Quran, and indeed, we will be its guardian. Professor Mansour al-Helou needed to confront these coral-like sects obstructing Islam's ship from sailing forward. For Islam's face remains luminous. These are but blemishes on its radiant visage, all through his motto, let the text speak. I have read this invaluable book, invaluable in its subject matter, invaluable in its objectivity, invaluable in its calm tone, its handling of texts and its deductions. I greatly admired Professor Mansour's effort to enlighten Jewish, Christian, and Muslim minds from the chaos of worldly interests that have blinded humanity, causing them to drag Islam's innocence into the abyss of bigotry and extremism. Thus their schemes have failed, and Islam's light continues to illuminate the earth and all upon it.